I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy divisional round Wednesday. We are now just a couple days away from the big game Sunday, 3 o'clock, Lincoln Financial Field, Birds and Rams. Now, by the way, this is the Anthony Gargano Show. Hello. And we're brought to you by Rite Aid. Yes, RiteAid.com to find the nearest store and pharmacy. Get your flu shot. You know what's funny? I had a conversation last night with a buddy of mine who we coached basketball together. And we were talking about the game. And he put it very succinctly, my man Kevin. And he said, dude, they're a mess, right? Like you're playing in Arizona on a Monday night. You then got to go back to LA. You don't even know half of everybody there is dealing with the fires, right? With their own personal loss, all kinds of issues. You then got to try to get work done without all the distractions. You got to then come east on a short week to play in Philadelphia in January and at noon LA time, right? Like, which throws your whole schedule off. So, you know, and he's right. Like when he looks, and again, you're facing an Eagles team that's a completely different animal than Minnesota, right? Like Minnesota's O-line, good, right? Then they lose their right tackle, not so good. You lose O'Neal, you know, listen, it's huge. You got a quarterback who is freaked when you pressure him. And you saw it. Skittish, happy feet, not good in the pocket. And that's what happened Monday night. Like the Vikings offense, which is very good, very talented, came to a screeching halt because Sam Darnold couldn't handle any of the pressure. They dialed it up, and he melted. He melted like whiz, right? Like he was it, man. He had nothing. And then once you just take a team's soul, and that's what they did. The Rams reached into Minnesota and snatched their soul. They had nothing. They were going to lose. Darnold was freaked. And of course, then there's an avalanche, and you know, even down to the fourth quarter, the second half was a joke, right? Like, I went back to it because somebody did a story about Joe Buck talking about the Vikings and how they just conceded it. And he's right. He's calling the game. I'm watching it. I'm thinking the same thing. The Vikings conceded the game. Like, they were down big at halftime. You think, all right, well, you get the ball and start the second half. And they were feeble. They scored one touchdown, and that was it. They didn't go hurry up. They didn't show any urgency. They were feeble, the Vikings. And so the Rams really get propped up because of that matchup. It's funny how in that sport, one matchup can disrupt everything. And it was the Rams front against Minnesota's line and Darnold. And that's what it was. So they look like world beaters. This Eagles team is just a completely different animal. They just are. Like, they come at you with a great line. Forget about the defense, which is, tops in the league. But that line, the Rams' strength is in their D line, and the Eagles have an O line. They have a running game that, by the way, netted 255 yards by Saquon on November 24th against that team. I don't know. He's not going to go for 255. I get it. But I don't know how they stop the run. I think they're playing better defensively, certainly. But I don't know how they stop the Eagles' running game. And then, Hurts played poorly in the opener, but I think he's going to play well in the next round. I do. I think he's going to play well on Sunday. Whether, the Ross, the kind of his MO, the way the game was, all that stuff. I think he plays much better. I think it's an easy decision to me what I want to do offensively. I don't think this is Kellen Moore needing to kind of reinvent and be a rocket scientist. I think all you got to do is lean into your RPO game, right? Use some tempo, RPO play action. That's how this team is most effective. I know we talk about, play action and Jalen on the center, all this stuff. Forget about it. That's not his strength. His strength is RPO. You get tempo, RPO play action. You got some time. He'll deliver some strikes down the field. You're going to take a deep shot. That deep shot wasn't there. I could totally see, because that's the throw he does the best. He's good at it. And I could see a drop in the bucket to A.J. Brown early in that game. I could just see it. And so my man Kevin put it succinctly, and I agree. I try to look at things, especially during the week. I try to do it in a self-scout mode, right? Which is look at if everything goes bad, right? If everything goes the opposite against you, how do you react? And again, because of the defense and a running game, and because of how it is, I don't see the Eagles losing the game. I mean, the only thing that I could say is the tragedy, and that happens. That's very real in sports. Well, I've talked about it yesterday with Katrina and the Saints. But I don't see the Eagles falling victim to that. I just don't. The way they're built, because the sport's about defense, line play, and run the ball. And that alone is going to keep them, I think, give them the big advantage. Good morning, VG.
Good morning.
What do you say, buddy? Good morning. How are you?
I say go Birds. That's what I say this morning. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I got my concerns with McVay and Stafford, but Eagles are the better team all around. I feel pretty good about this. Yeah.
I just had a friend of mine in the league say, if you guys run it 35 times, you guys will win.
Well, that's the thing.
Easily.
I got the only way you neutralize McVay and Stafford by just keeping Barkley on the field running the ball. That's it. Yeah. That's the biggest advantage. And that's what I don't just stick with the plan. I know they're going to want to try, I think, before to get Jalen going a little bit, but you got to stay with Barkley. You just pound.
Well, that's why the RPO game is so important. Because the RPO game, you're still running the ball. That's why Jalen's got to be a part of the run game.
Yeah,
he does.
That's where
he's most effective.
He looks comfortable in that sense.
He's effective. He's good at it.
Yeah.
He's a good runner. He takes the pressure off of Barkley. Let's face it. We all went, wow, look, Tanner McKee was great, the whole thing. The back Pickett, the offense still moved. But Barkley wasn't Barkley with those guys at quarterback.
No.
The advantage that Barkley has with Jalen at quarterback is so key. That RPO game is everything because he's such an elite running back. Then you couple that with an elite running quarterback, right, in an RPO game. And that Jalen, there's few better than him as a running quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
Lamar's different.
He feels like he's lost a little bit of a step with it.
No, but here's the thing. He still gets to 6-7 yards, like that burst yard. I'm not talking about Lamar dazzling.
Right.
I'm talking about first down, winning first down, and getting me 5, 6, 7 yards. He does that.
Yeah, he does that well.
How many times does he get stopped? He doesn't get stopped 2-3 yards. And I'm talking about a designed RPO.
Yeah, not him. Not a broken play where he's running around. Yeah. I mean, I think we're all on the same page. Keep Stafford off the field. Time of possession. Points.
Yeah.
Hope Jake Elliott comes through when we need him.
I mean, you may not need him. You may just score touchdowns.
Yeah, hopefully.
You know?
I got to say, I'm pretty stoked about Fangio yesterday with the Trot Jr. comments.
I know.
I'm all about bringing Trot on. Trot, coming from that household,
I know.
you know he's got heart, he's got instincts, he's going to be a smart player.
I know.
I'm geeked. I like to see some Trot Jr. time.
I got to tell you, that kid, I love that family. First of all, Trot Sr. is a dear friend.
Yeah.
And, you know, we used to do the show together, Axeman. We did all the T-shirt craze.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you this? That Trot and I were at the forefront of the T-shirt craze.
The Axeman shirts?
The Axeman T-shirts in 2004. We didn't know what we had.
You should have said.
We had Jimmy Head running the T-shirt. Who knows what happened to the profits? Nah, I'm just kidding. Like, but it was funny. Like,
we bought used books, piles of used books.
But this was not like we didn't, you know, there was no e-commerce back then, right? Like, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the Trot, they would sell the shirts. His brother, the Hatchet.
You got a car out the trunk of a car.
Trot's brother, Hatchet, would sell the T-shirts out of his trunk. $20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it was. The Axeman, it was the best. He was such a great football player. Just the consummate linebacker. Right? Nobody would blow up the A-gap like Trot. Trot was big. Trot was 255.
Yeah.
Like, Trot was big. And that A-gap, like Jim Johnson used Trot to basically, along with Hollis, to just blow up the A-gap. And that freed everybody else to make plays.
Yeah. And I don't know, Trot Jr. growing up where he's a
football player.
Yeah.
His brother's a football player. They're football players. The family, football players.
Yeah.
Texas.
He's going to gut it
goes
out.
back to the chopping wood. Like does. Everything.
Trot Jr., I think, grew up in like Haddonfield.
I know. But the father.
They getting wood delivered.
But the father, yes, correct. But the father would say, hey, listen, you're in the backwoods of Texas.
Yeah.
You're chopping wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he instilled the work ethic in his sons.
So I was happy hearing Fangio say that. That made my day yesterday.
Yeah, I know. I was with you.
So
you love Fangio?
It's today. It's Wednesday. What is it? Installation day? Is that Wednesday? Yeah. All right, let's get going.
Installation.
Let's get going.
This is your install. This is where it begins.
And that D line is good on the Rams. I don't know if they're the best young D line in football, like Arlovsky says, but we have the best O line in football.
They're really good.
And there's no one close to the Eagles as far as O line. Right. So I mean, they handle their business.
And look. They dominate. They dominate the front of Minnesota, but even it looked worse because listen, you're going to pressure. They ran a couple great stunts. The stunts they run are good, but you know how it works. Like there's going to be pressure on the quarterback. The quarterback's got to navigate it. That's what makes quarterbacks great. That's what makes Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Mahomes, right? Mm-hmm. That's what makes them great, is that there's pressure and they stand up in the face of pressure and make plays.
And a lot of that also seems instinctual, like just a feel of where it's coming from. You know what I mean? Where to move up in, where
but
the whole.
But you can't melt, and Darnold melted.
Dude, Joe Buck too. Listen, this is Nick Bickle. There's no way in the fourth quarter, down 3 touchdowns, you're going to try to establish the run game at that point. Like, where was no aggressiveness at all.
No.
This ain't Kevin O'Connell. It was a little weak showing by him.
Yeah, I was surprised because he's a good coach. He schemes. He's really good. I was surprised that they went out like with a whimper.
Yeah, it's like they just gave up.
It was weak. They looked weak. And you know what's funny? Going into the game, I had more fear of the Vikings winning than the Rams, right? Because I remember thinking, Vikings come in here and, it's Jefferson, Naylor, defense. Addison, Aaron Jones, Hawkinson, like the weapons are the weapons, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking, and then the boogeyman, right, is the DC.
Flores.
Right? Brian. So he's, I'm thinking, all right, well, that scary. Like, I was worried about Minnesota. And then you watch the game, you go, jeez, I was worried about the wrong team. Because if Darnold comes in here, he melts.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
It's amazing how the clock struck midnight on him.
I was more concerned about the Rams because I wanted to do what the Rams did to the Vikings. They're just a fun team to beat up in the playoffs. They're soft. They are. I don't know how they come from Minnesota. They need to be playing outdoors.
Well,
they're like this soft dome team now from Minnesota.
It's not Metropolitan Stadium.
Come
with
on.
Bud Grant.
Yeah.
Do you remember we were kids? So they would always like the Steelers and the Vikings, and you see these games, and we'd be kids, and it would be freezing, right? It's Minnesota. Baldy will tell you the great stories because he used to sell hot chocolate at the stadium. Saying that, yeah. And you'd see the mounds of snow and just the breath.
Yeah, the breath was awesome.
And the mounds of snow. And it was December. It's not like now where you go into January and February, right?
Right.
Like back then, it was freezing. It was Minnesota.
Like the snot's frozen in their mustaches and stuff.
Right. And there was no heaters and none of that.
Right, yeah.
Modern technology. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah. Now they're just soft. They're like a soft franchise.
They are.
Yeah.
LA is the harder team. Right. Like you saw the Rams stay out physical them.
Yes. Slapped them around.
I do like Stafford. I'm a fan of Stafford.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer, great player. I just don't think
he's kind of cool. I don't know.
I agree.
He's got a good demeanor on the field.
Yeah, listen, they're good. I love Puka.
He's shifty. That little where he was getting sacked and did the little flick.
Yeah,
that's a headsy play.
It is a headsy play. Yeah. Like they're good. Like they're a good team.
Eagles are better.
Yeah, you play it out. I played it out several times in my head, and last night I'm thinking about it. I went back. I was watching some stuff. I just don't. I don't see it again. Short of you play bad football, which there's a degree of running and defense that is the antidote to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see turnovers. Okay, turnovers and the calamity in Los Angeles, the sad calamity.
But I mean,
other than that,
turnovers not really their things. I mean, if they are who we think they are, then they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
This is one of the few times where they roll into the playoffs and you're like one of the 2 or 3 top dogs. Like you got a shot. This is a year, man. Like
it is a shot. Yeah,
we're not like
listen. Detroit. That's going to be a game.
Yeah,
that's going to be a great football game.
I don't know. I feel like the Eagles are better than Detroit. I feel like
I don't know about that.
They should be in New Orleans.
I'll go. I think they're as good as Detroit, but I got to see it. I got to see.
Detroit's just so banged up.
Well, they're getting healthy though. Montgomery's going to play.
We'll see what he's like. He'll have some rust.
Well,
these guys sitting around for a few weeks.
Well, they got a game Sunday, so we'll see.
That's true.
They're playing Washington.
Maybe they don't get through. Maybe Washington dazzles them.
I don't think so.
The kids got some magic.
Daniels. There's no way. I don't see it. Hey, listen. How great would that be? Then the Eagles host the NFC title game.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes.
Forget about it. It would be fantastic. I don't see that. I don't see Washington going into Detroit winning. But, look, I think that game, we wanted to see Eagles Lions.
That line is now? Wow.
Is it really?
Yeah. Started at 7.5. Lions by 9.5.
Wow. That's the brain about that one.
Yeah. Eagles line hasn't budged off to 6 right now. And money's on the Rams, so that's good. That's a good
Money's
sign.
on the Rams?
61% of the money's on the Rams.
Wow, that's surprising. I thought that line would go to 7.
Wow, you would think, yeah.
The Braves' biggest bet,
which is like,
was the Birds.
That's a couple suitcases, like some Samsonites.
Yes, it's Johnny
With a nice hoodie.
Yeah, he's got the good hoodie on.
The
whole
clean
thing.
White sneakers on.
All right, we got lots to do. We got lots to get to today. We got Z Berm, right? Our Eagles report. We got the Brain. We got our buddy Kevin Negandhi. We got ERock checking in.
ERock.
I got a buddy of mine, Kevin Figures, my man Figgy, from I work with him at Fox. He's in LA, works for the LA Sports Station and Fox Sports Radio.
Is he an LA fan or
he's going to join us? He's a Raider fan.
All right.
But he's a reporter.
All right.
So he's going to join us, talk about the Rams and what's going on out there in Los Angeles.
Cool.
So we got a packed show for you as always. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Ace, the helpful place?
I would love to. Ace Hardware Home Services, because you know what they help you out with, some of the most stressful things in your life. Fixing up the house.
The heat.
Anything around the house bugs me out. I hate making the phone calls. I don't know who to call. Everyone's got a guy. Well, you know who's got a guy who's a true guy? Ace Hardware Home Services. You got a leaky pipe? They're around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the right people to do it. Got a heating issue? A faucet you said you'd fix last fall and it's still dripping? They got a person to handle that, because Ace Hardware Home Services are not just the helpful hardware folks. Nah, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they got trusted pros to keep your house humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing helpful home from the stores now to your front door at your very own house. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project.
Ace is the helpful place, now at home, at your door.
Right at your door.
Love that.
Vans all over South Philly. I see them, the Ace Hardware Home Service.
All
vans.
over South Philly's right. And all over Jersey, where I'm at, all over the place. You know what else is the place to go to on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, any day. Valentine's Day. Engagements, just want to make her smile, your special person smile.
Golden Nugget Jewelers. That's where Philly gets engaged. Golden Nugget Jewelers. 8th and Chestnut in the heart of Jewelers Row in Center City. So make sure you head on over to Golden Nugget Jewelers for this Valentine's Day. Diamond earrings, diamond pendants, you name it. They got incredible gifts that you will absolutely love. Golden Nugget Jewelers. Look, my man Yaron over there has you covered for your engagement ring. So if you're thinking about popping the question, go see him, tell him I sent you. All right, I've sent scores of guys over there. I had great experiences, the whole thing, right? He takes the stress out of it, finds a diamond, the setting, all right, works within your budget, makes it pop, all right, absolutely pop. Will make her melt. So check out Golden Nugget Jewelers. It's where Philly gets engaged. GoldenNuggetJewelers.com. And tell them I sent you. All right. Joining us now, our locker room report. Yes, brought to us by Valley Forge Tourism. Our man, Z-Berm, Zachariah. Hello, Zachariah.
Hey, good morning. I like that locker room report graphic. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, look, Frazier. Frazier's in. Doing it up. All right, buddy. Today's install day. Big day today. What's your vibe? We didn't talk about this.
Yeah, so this is a game that the Eagles should win. I think they're the superior team. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into today's practice, in particular on the defensive side of the ball, compensating for the absence of Nakobe Dean. Vic Fangio said yesterday that you could see Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He said the future's bright and the future could be now. So I think you'll see a rotation between Oren Burks and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., similar to what you saw in that Cowboys game, 3 weeks ago now. So that's obviously a big part of today. The Eagles need to get their passing game in order. They're practicing at the stadium again. They'll be doing that throughout the week. So this is an important day. Like, this is not a walkthrough Wednesday. This is going to be a full practice here. But yeah, a big picture with this game, I think it's a game that the Eagles can and should win.
They should win. It's funny. It's funny when you talk to people, because you and I and VG and all of us, we kind of live it where it's our lives, so we're constantly thinking about it and all. And then when I talked to a buddy of mine, we coached basketball together. I was talking to Kevin last night. He's like, dude, there's no way the Rams should win this game. And just going through the Rams, what they're having to deal with, right, on a short week with all the distractions and all the horrific things happening, right? To have to go to Philadelphia on a short week and play, not on your time at noon. Then all the intangibles, right? The Eagles' O-line, which is not the Vikings' O-line, right? They were able to really freak out Darnold. Like, that's Darnold. This is a different animal. And again, I don't know. I keep playing it back in my head, but I'm not saying Saquon's going to run for 255 again. But I don't know how they stop him.
Yeah, so first off, you mentioned the logistics of the week for the Rams, and it's a valid point, right? Obviously, your thoughts go beyond football with everything that's happening out in Southern
Obviously, yeah.
California, but from the perspective of you know the Rams were dealing with things that went beyond football last week. They have to go to Arizona to play a game. They come back to LA. They're there this week on a short week now. They have to go to Philly, with one fewer day in between games, and the Eagles have the extra rest compared to the Rams. So yeah, it is those characteristics are favorable. You look at the forecast. Looks like there's going to be snow on Sunday. It's definitely going to be cold. So you're dealing with a dome team from the West Coast coming to Philly. The Eagles are used to playing in this. The Eagles are a physical football team up front. And then you just add in the talent differential, or I should say the talent that the Eagles have. And look, the Eagles, Saquon's best game came against the Rams. We saw that. The Eagles overpowered them at the line of scrimmage. The Rams have an outstanding coach, an outstanding quarterback. They have talent. Puka Nacua is one of the top receivers in the league. Jared Verse is a promising edge rusher. Braden Fisk has done well on the defensive line this year. But the Eagles are simply the better team with the intangibles working in their favor. I don't know if Saquon's going to rush for 250, but I do think Saquon's going to have a big day. I think the Eagles will get A.J. Brown more involved. You saw A.J. Brown with Jalen only had, 23 dropbacks in that last game. A.J. had over 100 yards. So I like the Eagles matchup on the outside. A.J. Against Ahkello Witherspoon is favorable for the Eagles. If you're looking for anything to worry about in this game, it's that the Rams have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback and a proven head coach, and that those guys working together. And Vic Fangio made the point yesterday. The Rams started the season 1-4. They sat their guys the last game of the year. In between, they're 10-2, and that goes to show you this is a good team. But I think the Eagles are better.
Yeah, I guess from the Rams game plan, I think you're going to see a ton of Kyren Williams. They're going to try to run it. They're such a great play action team. Mm-hmm. And everything goes off for Kyren Williams. And I think they're going to look at the Eagles and go, well, all right, no Dean. We're going to test your run defense.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the middle of the field. Now, Jalen Carter was outstanding in that game against the Rams. Milton Williams had a huge game.
Oh, he was huge
against the Rams. So I think you obviously look at the line of scrimmage. The Eagles need to win at the point of attack here. This is going to be a more important game for Jordan Davis than it was last week. So yeah, and then you mentioned the linebacker situation. The Rams should test that because the Eagles are unproven there, and Nakobe has been such a big part of the Eagles this year. So I'm curious to see what McVay does in that regard.
All right. Flip side, you talked about a little bit about the Rams front. VG and I were just talking about it. Like, to me, you just got to lean in all the way on your RPO game. It's what makes them most effective. It's what Jalen does best. And then you would mix in your RPO play action. You run the ball, take a couple deep shots down the field. And I think that's your recipe. I think you just lean into that. And I completely go into all RPO mode.
Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about linebackers. I don't love these Rams linebackers. I thought the Vikings were more imposing in the middle of the field than the Rams are, at least at that second level. You saw that a few weeks ago. Yeah, I think the Eagles lean into what they do well. And I don't think this needs to be a prolific passing game from Jalen. I know there's hopes and people want to see that more from Jalen. Look, if they play Detroit in 2 weeks, he'll probably need to see more of that. But I think that this Sunday you lean into Saquon, the RPO game. You hit AJ when he's there, when he's in man coverage on the outside, even in zone. I mean, you hit AJ no matter what. But I think the Eagles stick with what works. This is a don't overthink it game for the Eagles.
Hey Zach, I'm pretty fired up about the possibility of seeing Trout Jr. out there. You're in the locker rooms. Like, what's his vibe like? Does he have a little swagger like his dad? Is he a quiet guy, a studious guy? Like, give us a little insight into Trout Jr.
Yeah, very professional. That's one thing that you hear, right? I mean, you can tell he grew up around the game. He's players and coaches talk about how smart he is. You heard that from Vic Fangio yesterday too. So he's not loud and boisterous. He kind of knows his place, I think, as a fifth round pick, but he is someone who he's very professional in that locker room.
Do you have any insight into the Rams when they're going to head out here?
Good question. I don't know. I will find that out today. West to east, sometimes teams come a day earlier. With what the Rams are dealing with from a practice perspective, I'm curious what the situation is. How much they're able to practice out in LA. I know that was a question earlier in the week, but I don't have a good answer for the day they're heading out. I will find that out.
Yeah, I was curious to see if they want to come and get adjusted to the climate a little bit, feel a little cold for a couple of days or not.
And it might actually be easier for them, too, with all the stuff going on, to be able to come out earlier. You know, if I were McVay, I would come out early and do all my work out here.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they've reached out and got a facility to work out of. You're going to need a place to work out of.
Yeah, I always think back to that, the Eagles-Lions game from 1995 playoffs when they were down in Vero Beach, Florida. You remember that?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So, sometimes getting away is a good thing.
There was that big snowstorm, and then, what was that, 56, 55? What did they put up, that Eagles-Lions? I
remember that Hail Mary before halftime. Yeah.
What was it? It was 50-something.
I'd have to look that up here. Yeah, but I remember that Hail Mary before Rodney Pete. Yeah. And then the following week was when
the Cowboys.
Randall Cunningham. Yeah, they won 58-37.
That was
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Randall Cunningham, I think was he had a baby born that week, didn't have his playbook, right? And then he had to go into that Cowboys game cold.
Yeah. There was, where was I? I was at the Post. I was covering something. I was probably at another game during that period because that was 95. I just remember watching the game and the Eagles being all excited, chesty, and they got beat by the Cowboys. Because the Eagles looked great the week before, like he said. How bad is that? Like, that was it. This team is pretty elite, man. It's very good. It really is. I keep going back to it and yeah, you say it. It's a game that you should win. Like, that's what it is. The Jalen stuff, there's always the Jalen stuff when he doesn't throw. I just don't even care about that. Like, who cares whether he throws for
10 times, I'm fine.
It doesn't matter, right? Like, none of it, as long as you're putting up points and moving the ball, who cares how it happens?
Yeah, I was having this debate with my co-hosts on the PHLY Eagles show, and my point is they beat the Green Bay Packers by 2 scores, and it could have been 20 points if Saquon doesn't take that fall, right? We can nitpick all we want. They do need to be a better passing offense, but when you win a playoff game against an 11-win team by 2 scores, that says something to me. And I think the Eagles are an elite team. I think there are about 5 elite teams in the NFL. I think the Lions, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, the Eagles, and but the Eagles are gonna. I would put the Eagles in that category.
Yeah.
The thing is, if the Eagles win this, they'll probably have to go to Detroit and win that next week.
I know, man. That game could be an awesome, ridiculous game. Eagles and Lions.
I mean, this is really probably I think it's the best team maybe of my lifetime with the Eagles all around. They're really good.
Is it the best team of our lifetime? Because you and I are contemporaries. Yeah. Is it the best team of your lifetime, Zach? Let's start there.
I think it's the most talented team all around. I think it's the most talented team. Now, the best team. Look, that story comes up in these next 3 weeks. We need to see what they do. It's a different team than some of the great Eagles teams. They don't have the same pass rush, of course. Although Nolan Smith, I have the story coming out soon on Nolan Smith. He had that big performance there. But when you look at the offense, the amount of weapons that they have, when you look at where they are at the line of scrimmage, when you look at the back end of the defense, this is the first #1 defense they've had since 1991. That says something to you. So yeah, I think this is the most talented team. It's probably the most complete team, but you're always judged by what you do in January and February.
Yeah. So the latest AccuVinny forecast. I get my forecast from AccuVinny. I have a friend of mine, Vinny, who worked forever in the airline industry and is a weather guy, and he's better than anybody. So AccuVinny says 40 possible rain snow mix during the game.
Okay,
that's good.
Ugly.
Stafford stinks in the rain. He's 1-5 in the rain. So we want some.
Well, you want ugly.
We want some precipitation.
Right? You want ugly because ugly's good for this. The Eagles, again, defense and running the ball. That's the thing that.
Like a 1960s Packers.
Yes,
team.
that's the thing, Zach, that I think has everyone. When you talk about this team's place in history, what throws everything off is their defense is really good, but they're not a sack team, like you said, right?
Yes.
And their offense, they're a run team. When was the last Eagles run team? I mean, you got to go back to Wilbert Montgomery. Like, Ricky, all right, Andy's teams had talented backs, and Shady was great, but they were never a run-first team.
No, you're right. I think during my time covering it, obviously the 2021 Eagles, but that wasn't a great team. That the 2013 Eagles were now they mixed it up, but in terms of the great teams they've had, no, you got to go back to well before I covered the team, probably before I was alive, where the team is built around the run like this team is.
Yeah, I mean that's a Wilbert. We were babies. That's when Wilbert was the man.
It was
31.
Yes, but I'm just blown away by it. We have not had this running game is different. The offensive line's different, and you could, like you said, they're offensively more talent than we've ever had. And you combine that with the #1 overall defense, they're really they're good, man.
Yeah. How about
and you got Nick Bickle. He's been good. They like him.
Sirianni's been terrific.
Yes.
Seriously. Sirianni's
had a good second half of the season.
He's been terrific, and he's been terrific. They're buttoned up. Zach, the thing about them that's impressive is they weren't a good tackling team last year. They became a really good tackling team, right? They work at it. All the stuff that we talk about, like the CEO stuff, coach stuff, has played out, has worked. I think he's excelled at that.
You're right. The culture setting, the connection with the players, getting these guys ready to play, knowing what buttons to push. I say this time and time again, and I know I've kind of been billed on this show as a Sirianni defender, but you don't win 14 games twice in 3 years unless you're a good coach. You don't stumble in to 2 14-win seasons. You don't stumble in to 4 playoff appearances in 4 years. He's had a really talented team. I get it. Last year was bad, no question about it. But I keep going back to this point. There are a lot of good coaches sitting on their couch right now at home. There are a lot of good coaches who haven't won playoff games since Nick's been here. And there are a lot of good coaches who haven't sniffed 14 wins during this time either. So, yeah, Nick, I think Nick deserves a little more credit and look, I think it's starting to come. I think people see it
I do too.
now that it's not all it doesn't have to look a certain way, but if your team's on the left side of the win column, you're doing pretty good.
Listen, I've been a vocal critic of Nick's, and you got to give him his props. He's had a great second half of the season. This team, they feeding off his vibes. He's the vibes man. They feed off his energy and stuff.
He's more than that. I hate when you marginalize
That's
him.
That's not marginalized.
It is marginalized. He's more than a vibes guy.
But he's
the head coach. He's in charge. He's got everything.
Maybe you don't. What are you just defining vibes as? Like their mentality, like their whole thing, man. He's leads them. They feed off his energy.
Like he's like a good luck charm. Maybe. That's when you kind of marginalize.
No, I'm not saying vibes. That. I'm saying he's more than that.
Like vibes. Like I know you're a vibesman. I know you are. But how about it, Zach? I mean, break the tie here.
Yeah. So
I go to Mike. I know where he's at.
Yeah.
I think that
I
think Nick is intentional with what his messaging is for the week. I know he starts every week thinking about, all right, what's his message need to be? Does he need to push? Does he need to pull back? Like there's what's it take? And I think there's a human element to that can sometimes be I don't want to say forgotten but maybe not emphasized enough is that he's a person dealing with people. And a big part of that is when you have 53 guys on the roster, 70 guys in the locker room, a coaching staff and support staff of 30 plus, you need to know what buttons you must push. And Sirianni, I don't want to say he's masterful at that, but I know he puts a lot of time and energy and thought into that particular concept. I know for a fact he starts every week. He starts every week thinking about that, sitting down with like with his thoughts. What's it going to take this week? What does my message need to be this week?
Thank you, Zach. You're saying he puts a lot of thought into the vibes he needs to create on a week-to-week basis. Yes, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, but that's not all he does.
I'm saying he's very good at that.
Okay, all right. We're talking about football, though. We're talking about what he does as a football coach. So you just can't make him to be the Zen.
Filthy,
I don't know how,
Filthy McNasty did say I called him the Garrett Stubbs of the locker. He's more than that.
Yeah, okay,
he's more than Garrett Stubbs.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I'm mad at Zach. Come on, you gotta give the guy deserves his major.
Well, yeah, from a football perspective, there's things that go into situational football that go into game management, that go into coaching the coaches. That there's a lot to do with that. So I think it tends to be made a little more simplistic than it should in terms of designing the game plan and calling the plays. And there's a lot more with being a head football coach than that. Look, Sean McVay's outstanding, and Sean McVay's probably one of the best play callers in the league. But there's more than one way to do it. And I keep going back to I think John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And the reason why John Harbaugh it took him so long to get a head coaching job is because he's not calling the plays on offense, he's not calling the plays on defense. But if you're the head football coach of the entire team, and look, the culture setting's a part of it, but it's also knowing how to manage the players, knowing how to manage the game, knowing how to handle Monday to Saturday, knowing what to do during those 3 hours on Sunday. It's an important job that I think goes beyond designing the offensive game plan, designing the defensive game plan.
Yep. Hey, last thing. Bo brought this up about leaning into playing the villain. What's your thoughts on that?
In what regard?
That the Eagles should lean into being the villain. You know, they're the team, everybody. Because listen, everybody's going to root for the Rams. Everybody's going to root for the Lions. If they get to the Super Bowl, everybody's going to root for the Bills, right? Or the Ravens.
Yeah. I would push back on that because I think it actually happens to be like a really likable team. You know, I think there's teams sometimes where
maybe it's the
but I even think
Eagle fans that are playing.
Zach's not a heel. Maybe if he watched wrestling, he's probably not a heel fan.
Yeah, because there are teams. So like I think like the Patriots, even the Chiefs, there are teams that can play up the villain thing. I think aesthetically, the football fan in Des Moines and Spokane and Kalamazoo, they would love watching Saquon Barkley play football, right? This is a team that they look like they're having fun out there. I think people can get behind that. So no, I don't think the villain thing, but I also don't think I think back to the 2017 team, they really played the nobody believes us card.
Right, they're not.
I don't think this team's
like they're good. No wonder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no underdog. This is a team that's good, that should know they're good. They should act like the heavyweights. They should act like the favorites, right? They don't need to take a backseat to anybody. Maybe the Lions next week, though.
Well, we'll talk about that when it gets here. My man, great stuff as always. What's on tap today?
So today it's I'll be at Nick Sirianni's press conference at 12. I'll be at the link at 3:30 for practice. I'll be in the locker room at 5 o'clock. I'll be on the show with Jamie and Rich. I'll be chiming in from NovaCare, the PHLY Eagles show at 2, and then I'm back in studio tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Zach, if you can, let's make note of the music today if you can at practice. See what kind of vibes they got going on. I'm curious to see what the mentality is.
So just for you, VG, actually, on our show yesterday, someone wanted to know who controls the aux, who's in charge of the music in the locker room. So when I get in the locker room this week, I'm going to find that out. I'm going to find out who controls the playlist in that post-game locker room.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm curious what they play tomorrow during the practice as well. And hey, great jacket again today. You are the jacket man. You always layer.
Thank you.
He layers so
He's
well.
A layer.
He's a good layer guy.
Good job,
this time of year. Yeah, appreciate it.
You got it. Good stuff, Zachariah. Thanks, buddy. Z-Berm checking in. You brought this up, VG. Frazier's Eagles beanie. Put yourself on the screen. How do we feel about this? How do we feel about Andrew's beanie? It's brown.
He's got the good throwback eagle on it, but on a brown.
But it's brown. Hat. I don't like it.
That's why
Oh, come on. It's not that bad.
It's brown.
It's brown, man.
It's a good hat.
Is there
Look
a
at
worse
that.
color?
Nice hat.
Listen,
No.
if it's black,
yeah,
all right, I'm not a fan. All right, but okay.
Right.
Nice and warm.
Green,
Does the job.
the color. A brown. I don't understand the brown.
I don't. Whose idea was it
Yeah,
to
let me
put that
make a
nice
brown-
Kelly Green
Now,
bird
I
on a
assume
brown beanie?
That's a team issued.
It is. It's licensed.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not a Bobo. I got it on Broad Street.
I never get Bobo. I'm not a Bobo
for
here.
the crusties, the earth tone people, I guess.
Yeah,
It
I
makes the
don't
eagle
like-
pop. Look,
It
see
makes
the
the eagle
brown and the
pop.
green
But the brown
contrast?
I
is
can't
the
even
brown.
see the bird. I just see brown.
Yeah,
Right
it's an ugly color. Like brown is. Listen,
He's getting love in the chat.
the chat likes it.
K-Red
Chat
doesn't
goes-
hate it. Big Farsi Jones says it's a quality cat.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Big
Farts
Fartsy. Thank you, K-Red. I appreciate it.
I hate it.
Farsi says it's dock worker colors. And Fraser's the furthest thing from a dock worker.
Yeah, I'm not a dock worker.
Yeah. EEN says it's a working man color. Yeah, so Fraser should not be wearing that hat.
Yeah.
What, you saying I don't work? All right, come on now.
Shake his hands.
I've never felt hands so soft.
All right. Let's go to another hatsman.
What resort or car company is he wearing today?
Let's go to the brain.
Brain. Red, the brain finder.
There he is.
No, BMW, is it?
You're mute. You're mute.
The opposite happened. They host me to me. All right. I used to work in the clothing industry. And what we call Frazier's hat was an IR, an irregular. You sent it back to the manufacturer. That was an IR.
Yes.
I don't know what the heck that was.
Yes.
But that was not.
Man, you got a guy with a free BMW hat calling out
That's
your hat
messed
right
up,
now.
Brad. You can't be talking bad about my hat.
I mean,
Look
at
He's
you
got the
said,
white
man.
shirt.
Hey,
The white
now
hat.
that's
Man,
popping.
world
That
be free.
color pops.
It looks good.
Yeah.
He looks good. Brain looks good.
Yeah.
The brown eagle. If you go
horrible.
brown, just a plain brown. All right.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah,
the
it
eagle logo
was
on the
horrible.
brown.
It's almost a disrespect to the Kelly
It
Greens.
is.
The team made the hat, so they
You're
disrespected themselves.
wrong.
Yeah, yes.
You ain't got to wear
It looked like an IR.
It looks like an IR.
It looked like an IR. Like, again, I would get that stuff in my clothing industry and it would be returned. I'd charge back the manufacturer because it was like a, bad item. Like, it happens every now and then. You got a bad item.
You got a bad item.
Brain knows. Brain knows, man. Brain knows.
knows.
That did not look like it should be that
How
color.
much that hat
No
cost
offense.
I have no idea. I think it was a gift.
Okay.
Well, hopefully whoever bought it's not watching.
That was a regift.
It's a re-gift.
Which we already know.
Brain is on fire.
It was from my loving
Just
mother.
shredding Frazier.
Oh, I love Mrs. Frazier. She's a sweetheart.
She Miss Frazier
that
cuts you
really is
colorblind.
down goes Frazier.
Did you hear that line?
No. What did you say?
Repeat it.
What did you say, Brady?
That hat is down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Wearing that hat.
Roasted.
Yeah.
Brad's ripping me right now, man.
I just don't get the color. Don't get that color. I don't get it.
Brady is so happy to have someone else's hat get ripped off.
Exactly. Hey, listen, I get mine ripped all the time. It's nice to have a tag team partner, Frazier. Listen, tomorrow we'll come back to picking on me.
Hey, tonight, don't forget, 6 o'clock, and you can access it anytime you want. Brain and I, Cousins Corner, we dive into the big weekend, the Holy Five. What was the Holy Eight is now the Holy Five.
Holy Quintet.
Yeah, the Holy Quintet. Thank you. So we'll dive into all those games, match it up, the whole thing. But just as a little aside, Brain, as a little appetizer, you said yesterday that you made the largest bet of the playoffs.
I did. Look, Anthony, I just firmly believe, and again, I could obviously be wrong. In these same airways, we got 4 of the 6 right, but 1 of the 2 I got wrong, and I really liked Minnesota, and I was dead wrong, and it was pretty evident early on in that game. That's a good game, probably to live bet. Was an example was you could see Darnold was seeing the ghosts again. It just was not going to be their night, and I really did like Minnesota, but I don't think the Rams are that good, Anthony. I swear, I really believe a lot of that win was Sam Darnold playing at a level that I just don't think any quarterback, it wasn't just throwing interceptions. It was just his pocket awareness was so drastically horrible. Yeah. I didn't feel like any defense could have won, with that. Now, the question with the Eagles is, are they going to have to take a script from the year the Baltimore Ravens won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer? Is Jalen Hurts that just get out of the way and rely on everyone else? I'm not saying that, but I'm also saying I haven't seen anything positive from him in a long time. So I don't know if it's going to be that situation where they just need to rely on Saquon Barkley, rely on a great defense, rely on DeVonta Smith, Dallas Scott, and A.J. Brown making enough plays that Jalen Hurts just maybe can run for a few plays, and he just has to not, mess it up. But I just think this Eagles team, except for the quarterback, Anthony, is substantially better than this Rams team. And I mean way better. Brad, and I think they will win the game easily. And it is a very large bet for me.
I think we all agree that the Eagles are much better than the Vikings. But see, we just had Zach on. Are you discounting the fact that the Rams are 10-2? I think he said since week 4. I mean, that's not a bad team. They're a good team.
I'm not saying they're a bad team.
They're not a good team.
They're to me they're a 9.5 win team. They're not, to me they're between a 9 and a 10 win team. I think they are above average because the coach is terrific and the quarterback is terrific. Now, obviously, you look at Josh Allen, you took him off the Bills, you'd say that team's not so good. So I understand when you put a really good quarterback in there, you can't just discount that. But I don't think Stafford's anywhere near Josh Allen. And I don't think this team has many great players. Look, they looked amazing defensively against that Vikings team last week. I think it's going to be, again, I give the analogy of this. If I was to wrestle my son in a wrestling match and beat him, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm amazing in wrestling. Then I run up against Andre the Giant the next week, I probably wouldn't have the same success level that I had against my son. And I think that we saw a game against the Vikings where it was just everything was just going their way. And I don't think they're going to have any of that kind of success, VG, against an Eagles offensive line, which, if I'm being mean about it, is top 3 in the NFL. I think the Rams are going to get run over, bullied. And again, I don't think they're going to have much success offensively. I don't think Kieran Williams is going to do much. Cooper Kupp, to me, is not what he once was. And Nakua is great.
Yeah, he does it. Kupp is a big... Him being down, like you said, he's not the same. I mean, he was on.
I'm going to bring it up, Anthony. His game log, I'm going to bring this up real quick. And this is Cooper Kupp, his game log. 1 catch, 29 yards. 1 catch, 29 yards again. 3 catch, 24 yards. 0 catches, no yards. He had another game at 3 of 17. That's in his last 6 games. He's had 5 games where he's basically scored a 0. So to me,
when's
and
the
again,
last time he had a 100-yard day?
I don't think he's had. Okay, against 11-17 against New England, he had 6 for 106, and against Seattle, he had 11 for 104. That was the game where Nakua left injured, but he just hasn't. He only had 700 yards this year. And to me, again, we're seeing a guy that won the Super Bowl MVP, and I think people just hear the name Cooper Kupp, they get excited, they're just giving him that name and the number 10 jersey, giving him credit for being the superstar that he's been for a long time. But I don't think the Cooper Kupp today in 2025 is the same guy, whether it's injuries or what it is. I don't pretend to know what it is, but I'm just looking at the production chart and I just don't see it. And as good as Nakua is, I just think this Rams team's gonna have a lot of like 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s, and they're just not going to get there. And I really think they're going to struggle to score offensively. And I do think this Eagles offense will have success against a Rams defense that I think is mediocre. And they look great against Minnesota. But as I said, I think most of that, in my opinion, was the Vikings and just what happened to them the last few weeks of the year. And if they could do it, look, I'll choke on it and I'll come admit and I was dead wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles win. I think they cover. I think the Rams are a little better than you think. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with the Bills. That was a great game. I like them a little better than you do. But I think the Eagles win and cover.
Yeah, I mean, listen, look, they're not a bad team, VG. I don't think they're that good. I think the Eagles defense will have a lot more success, in my opinion, than the Bills defense. And I think the Eagles are really a very, very tough team. Again, I told you, I think if the quarterback plays good, I think they're clearly the best team. I don't think anyone could argue that. If the quarterback plays well in this team, I don't think anyone's beating the Eagles. To me, that's all it comes down to. But as long as he just, doesn't play like Sam Darnold last week, I just think that they'll be good enough to certainly beat this Rams team. And again, will be good enough to beat Detroit. That to me would be a much tougher task because he's not going to have to. He's going to have to play well in that game.
I feel you.
If they get that far.
Brain brought to us by the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. Hey, last thing. Give us, because we got tonight to go over all the other games.
Yep.
But is there anything worse than this scheduled loss like last night was?
It's embarrassing.
What schedule? What are you talking about?
The Sixers.
Anthony.
No Maxey, no George. It's disgraceful. It's an absolute disgrace that
I'll tell you what
puts up with that.
I told you that. It's funny. I told you. I told you this yesterday. I think it was. I've divorced the Sixers for 2025. I moved out of the house. Maybe next year I'll move back in. Again, and it's funny. They say the worst thing in a relationship is apathy. Right? If you hate a team, like I hate the Cowboys, you want to root against them, right? I have total apathy for the Sixers. I have lost interest. I don't even care. And that sounds crazy to say, but I've absolutely, been a diehard Sixer fan, Anthony, my whole life. Diehard. And I have lost interest because it's just everything you said. And it's just, I love Maxey, but man, everything else besides that to me, I don't know, man.
But I'm not even talking about the team itself and what they're going through. But last night, specifically, you sit George and Maxey because it's a back-to-back. It's OKC. Like, if someone's going down there, right, to go pay for a game, it's
horrible.
wrong.
That's a game you circle in advance. I want to see OKC Sixers match up.
It's just wrong, man. That league it's a sin. And for the sports fan, it's terrible.
I'm so glad you said that, Anthony, because I think you just said it. It's the league. The NFL, you never get this. Ever. No. Baseball, you don't get this. Hockey, you don't get this. The NBA has a problem. I mean, it really, in my opinion, has a problem. It's a fixable problem, but it's there. And they're losing people like me. They're losing people like me.
I mean, you just can't not play your best. It's
they don't care.
Disgraceful.
It's
scheduled
it
loss.
Is
over a team that's 8 games on the 500. Like, are you kidding me?
Anthony, if this was a real business, these guys would be fired.
Yeah.
Because it's a fireable offense to do what they're doing. They're basically taking a you-know-what on every single fan.
Yeah.
They are just absolutely saying, we don't care about you. We don't care about this product. We're just going to do what we want to do and just go along. And I can't stand it. Again, it's, as I said, if they're losing people like me and you, that's not good.
I know. We got to go. Right. Hey, Brain, great stuff. Tonight, 6 o'clock.
Can't wait, buddy.
See you, pal. Here he is, the Brain.
I mean, people are booing when they're down 19 and there's a break in the action, but you can't boo these guys on the court. Like they're playing OKC. You boo the league in a way, but booing the guys on the court.
It's a disgrace that the league allows that. And it's, again, they all do it.
Yeah.
These schedule losses. It's ridiculous. It's really, it's consumer fraud is what it is.
They got to start, like, I don't know, you only get paid for games you play, or I don't know. There's got to be something.
You can't charge money for that.
No.
It's terrible. Bet Parks Wednesday. Let's talk about it. Playoffs. We're talking about tonight, and we'll go deep into it. Cousins Corner. Here's the deal: the Bet Parks app. Detroit right now 9.5 against Washington. The total's huge, 55.5. Of course, we tell you about the Birds, 6-point favorite against the Rams. Total's 44, and then you got Chiefs against the Texans. I don't see how the Chiefs don't blow them out.
The Chiefs are just so sneaky. Like, everyone's going to Ravens.
Ravens, right? Because everybody's going to watch that game. It's basically one. It should be a pick. I mean, it's wild. Yeah. Then you got Monday night, you got the Notre Dame, Ohio State. Ohio State's 9.5.
Like, I'm thinking
over the Irish.
Would you rather play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl compared to the Bills or the Ravens? Or do you know no parts of that?
Well, will the Chiefs lose? I'd rather almost play the Ravens or the Bills.
The Chiefs don't look good, but they win somehow every week.
Well, they're getting healthy on defense, and they got their O-line fixed. They put Joe Tooney at tackle. That fixed everything.
Changed, yeah.
You got 3 receivers now because you got Hopkins, you got Worthy, and you got Hollywood Brown back now.
Right.
Both backs are healthy. They're scary, dude.
All right, and I don't want Spags to scheme against Jalen.
Yeah, they're scary. Also, get some skin in the game with more than just sports. Play blackjack, craps, poker, roulette, hot online slots while you watch the game. Make downtime your fun time. New users download the app, get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. All right, betparks.com has all the details. Got to be 21 in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Ohio, Michigan. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, we're brought to you by Valley Forge Tourism. Yes. Get to know Valley Forge weekend winter getaways. Family friendly, affordable. They all await in Valley Forge in Montgomery County, PA. Valley Forge in Montgomery County. So much to offer. All right. The historical sites, tons of family attractions, vibrant art scene, outdoor activities, shopping, you name it. Just 18 miles from Center City, Philadelphia, all right? You want to hang out. You want to go eat. You want to go whatever it is that you like.
It's great for day trips. I take my dogs. They got nice parks out there. You grab some good food.
The dog things are better. My buddy, AccuVinny, lives in Montgomery County. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Springtime golf. We'll be in golf weather.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about it. They
got
all the golf
through the parks out there.
Yeah. It really is nice. ValleyForge.org can help you discover hidden gems. Endless activities, tons of places to stay. And Montgo, that's right. Start planning the next getaway today. ValleyForge.org, right there in Montgo. Now, this portion of the program brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMark.com/PHLY to discover the credit union difference. Now joining us, the hometown hero. My man, look forward to this.
What's he wearing today,
every week?
Kelly Greened up today?
Every week. He always represents.
Yeah.
He's our man. That's right. From ABC, ESPN, the one, the only, Kevin Negandhi. Kev!
Yeah.
What's happening, fellas? By the way, Valley Forge, if you're in Valley Forge, go 5 minutes west and get to Phoenixville and go to Main Street and go to Bridge Street and then enjoy Gay Street. Enjoy all of Phoenixville because it's that's my hometown.
That Main Street. So my buddy AccuVinny lives in like the outside Phoenixville, right there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The downtown's awesome. Good restaurants, great scene.
Yeah.
I wish it was like that when I was growing up. It wasn't like that. Like, so when I go back, I'm like, wait a second, this is my town, and who are all these people? It's amazing how much it has changed dramatically. It's kind of got the Manayunk vibes.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, and I was a teenager, and they were blowing up Manayunk, and they were trying to make Manayunk a place to be. That's Phoenixville, man. I love that. I love the town.
And the landscape is stunningly beautiful. It just is. Rolling hills, and it's pretty horse country. All right, lots to get to. So the first blush, how's Kevin feeling?
I'm nervous as all hell, man. And that's just, that's how I'm built. That's how we're all built, right? We can't have good things, at least feeling good on those good things. So listen, trying to beat McVay and Stafford twice in a season, it's not easy. I am feeling a little bit better just reflecting on that first game. And it wasn't so much the offense. It's the offensive line held that front four to just one sack. That front four for the Rams is freaking fantastic.
And it's well coached. I mean, they run some great stunts.
Yeah, Shula's been great. I'm a little worried. We could beat their secondary. I'm a little worried about losing to Kobe because, listen, McVay can figure out with Stafford how you get Puka Nacua and Cooper rush the ball within that 8-yard circumference on that second level, and that scares the bejesus out of me because they collect 8 yards, that turns into 12 yards. You collect 8 yards, it turns into 12 yards, and then boom, 12 turns into 15, and that middle part of the field really worries the hell out of me. So it'll come down to what kind of pass rush do we get Nolan Smith to do what he continues to do and accelerate, and I mean, what a jump he's made. And Milton Williams has been phenomenal. Like, he is 93 is the man.
Yeah,
and
he's been phenomenal.
And he's been exactly what this team has needed. So to me, that gives me some comfort. But let's not forget, Nacua and Cooper Rush had Cooper Kupp, sorry, had 17 combined catches in that first meeting. They're going to find a way, man. They're going to find a way to pick up chunk yards over and over and over again. It's how the Eagles respond.
I'm with you, man. It's interesting because of what the Rams. I had a buddy of mine tell me last night, and it's funny when somebody talks to you and says it really succinctly. What the Rams are having to deal with, right? Just having to play on a Monday night, in Phoenix, right?
Yep.
Having to go back to LA where all the horror's going on, somehow do all your work, then fly across country to Philadelphia.
So what?
And then play at noon Pacific time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, that's in Philadelphia in January where it's going to be, in the high 30s and rain snow mix.
That is a hell of a lot. I always go back to when you're dealing with adversity, though, especially with athletes, they are wired a certain way where you lock in. Like, for, I think, Philadelphia fans to understand, it's Allen Iverson perfectly. When Allen was on the basketball court and he stepped into the arena, that was his oasis, and he didn't have to worry about everything else, right? And then he locked in for 48 minutes and just said, I'm playing, don't take me out. This is my haven. And I think that's how the Rams viewed Monday night. This is our place to get away, right? And as a result, you talk about dealing with all that stuff. This is one of those things I think that unifies that locker room. I saw the post-game speech that McVay had, and that's a team that's tight, man, that's closely bonded, that understands what it's doing. So you can't take it lightly. I posted something a couple days ago, and I love Eagles fans. I love Philly fans. I posted something a few days ago about, hey, this is going to be a completely different thing. Don't take anything from that 17-point win and transfer it into this environment. And they're like, yeah, of course, because they got to come to Philly. We're going to beat them by now 30. And I'm like, it's not like that, though. It is not like that. And I just – listen, I didn't feel that great about the offense. It looked very predictable. They didn't run a lot of things that were the Packers knew exactly what the Eagles were doing. I mean, Orlovsky talked about that at length. If you watch the film, you're like, yeah, man, they're doing nothing creative offensively. And I actually believe that Jalen Hurts' philosophy in the second half was don't cost the team. Whatever you do, we are in control of this game. Do not cost the team by making a mistake. So if you don't make a mistake, playoff football is do not give the ball, turn the ball over and give them momentum. Just make the right, safe decision instead of the risk on anything.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I almost feel like, though, Kev, like they can know what plays they're going to run. We're just going to run the ball, and you can't stop it. And I'm good with that.
Yeah.
You know, you can know what's happening. We're just going to run, and we're going to gain 5-6 yards in chunks every time we run the ball. I think that's working.
If that's the case, and that's a great point, if they stack the box and say we're going to stop 26, figure it out, and it's on one, then Kellen Moore can't just run RPO. He just can't. Stop running the RPO because Jalen's not 2022 Jalen. Jalen Hurts is coming off that concussion, his first one of his career. Stop running the RPO, and then let's get some quick strikes. Like,
I'll be honest with you. I got to stop you. I can be honest with you. I lean into the RPO because here's why. Here, look at me. Couple things. Saquon is much more dangerous when you're running RPO. Much more dangerous.
True.
Jalen is way more effective with RPO play action. If you look at what happened on Sunday, the only time they had some momentum is they went tempo and they went RPO play action. He found DeVonta. He needs like that room to breathe to find his receivers. Making him, behind under center, play action, that's just not who he is.
So when they went up tempo, you're 100% right. The offense looked completely different. They looked like they were in rhythm, right? My concern is if the Rams' philosophy is we're stacking 8, what you're going to see is a lot of Jalen Hurts thinking a little bit too much on what to do with the football. And when Jalen Hurts is just, like you said, boom, 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 rhythm, it opens up the door to hey, now you could pull, a deep pass to A.J. Brown one-on-one, right? So my whole point is if they get lost in the RPO and he's not running effectively, you've got to figure out something, and you got to stretch the field a little bit. You can't just play into them with 8 stacking the box.
Well, again, the way the Steelers played it was, and I don't expect the Rams to give you that look. That's a great look for the Eagles, right? Because all you got to do is you got to have man beaters, right? So
yes,
AJ Brown, and it was easy for him.
Yeah.
So if you look,
and honestly,
watch that film again. It was easy for him. It was tic-tac-toe, right?
And they can win on the one-on-ones.
All day long.
This secondary.
Nobody can stop AJ on a one-on-one. I don't expect that. Like, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I don't play the Eagles like that.
How would you play them?
What's that?
How would you play them? How would you approach this game?
I would stack the box. I would stack the box. But what I would do is I would do a single high safety and play zone a bit behind it because I don't get beat like that, and I think I can disrupt Jalen enough.
I think that is the exact thing that they should do if they do it. And the response will be, okay, Kellen, now what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to put your quarterback in a better position? Because if they play zone, is Jalen seeing that second level, which I don't understand. I'll never understand. He doesn't see the second level really well, or he's not comfortable in that second level, or Goddard's not getting open in that second level. And that's where you find the openings in the zone. And then you can run some slants specifically to Brown to pick up 7-yard chunks as well as DeVonta. But if you don't see that and you don't feel comfortable passing to a window that's not that, like it's a window that's got to develop, and you got to do it. You can't wait till he's open. You've just got to do it. Then the offense is going to stall.
Yeah, I would, but I would run them, man. I would run them. Listen,
you would run Jalen.
It's the playoffs. They are most effective when he's running the ball, because what he does is he gets you that 6'5", 6'7", right? Like you're playing those first downs, you're winning first down. If you can win first down in this league, it's everything.
You're 100% right. It felt like he was tentative on doing any of that. He did that one run, which was great. He broke off, but it felt like also it's like, hey, protect the football no matter what. Do not do anything foolish, right? Like it. And again, this is him coming off his first concussion,
right?
So there's a sense of reluctance. It felt like it. Like
also, did you hear? Because he got dinged and he was in the tent for a minute. So I don't know what that was. If that was they were checking again to see if he had another concussion, but he got dinged and he went into the tent, and it was very brief.
Yeah. I didn't see that. I was at the game, so I didn't see him go into the tent. But at a certain point in the second half, I looked up and I was like, "Holy crap! AJ Brown's only got one catch. What are we doing?"
Yeah.
You know, I
that was like
understand.
the halftime stat. It was like 39 yards passing at halftime. You're like, what's going on?
And that vibe that I think all of us felt like, hey, 3 first half turnovers and the Packers are still in this game. That's not a good feeling, right?
Yeah.
That was
totally.
I didn't feel good the rest of the game because I was like, they didn't take advantage of any of these. I mean, the first one they did clearly, but they didn't take advantage of the other turnovers, and it just didn't sit well.
But you never got the feeling the Packers could do anything against the defense, really. It didn't feel like that the whole time in the stadium.
I was stunned that they didn't give the ball more to Josh Jacobs. I was stunned. Now, he had that big break-off run. There were a couple times it was like 2 or 3 yards or 1 or 2 yards. But it's kind of like that sometimes with Saquon. You 2, 3 yards, 2, 3 yards, and then you break off, right? And I was stunned that he had only 18 carries. I would have kept on feeding him. Josh Jacobs is huge. We were on the field before the game, and I was like, damn, that dude's a tank. And then we saw it on that run, man. He is huge.
I think the problem with what they had is they lost Jenkins early in that game, and he's their best interior lineman. He's probably their best overall lineman. So when they lost him, I thought that was a big that changed the scope of their thing, and then they couldn't run him. They couldn't get any push.
They couldn't get a lot of push, no. But I mean, how about this though? Isn't it fun? Like, we didn't see it in 2022. It's a hell of a lot of fun watching your team hit.
Yes.
Like just freaking hit.
Yeah.
Somebody said body bag.
It was, yes.
And honestly, that was awesome. Like, them boys did not want to get touched by the Eagles, and the Eagles were that's just so much playoff football and perfect for Philadelphia's mentality. Man, shout out to Fangio, man. Like, they just play well, and Fangio, you could tell, is teaching the young guys how to play, and they just soak it all up, and now they want to top each other. It's just awesome to see, man.
It's like our dream team. It's like we got this physical, tough #1 defense and this physical offensive line running game. It's everything we've always wanted in Philadelphia.
Yes, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Let's hope the quarterback gets on track here. And to your point, as we started this conversation, let's run up tempo. And listen, if they do the RPO and they're doing up tempo and he's gaining, like you mentioned, 6-7 yards a chunk, it will be heaven, because eventually they're going to open up the top. They're going to connect on a deep ball.
Exactly. Yeah. Or Saquon breaks one, that's it. What are you hearing from your colleagues in Los Angeles and the Rams? Like, what the Rams have to deal with is a ton. I mean, just logistics and schedule and the whole thing. What are you hearing about them?
Just obviously nightmare situation, and they circle the wagons in the sense of taking care of the families and making sure the players don't have to worry about their family situation and double check and stuff. That's all. I've reached out to a handful of colleagues that are in the area that have had to move, that have had to take their belongings. My agent, the fire was 9 blocks away from his house. And he was talking to me about how he had to basically get the family out, and the door was open, and he's like, we got all this ash that keeps on coming in. So it's the small things too. Like, if your house doesn't go down, God forbid, you're lucky. You still have to deal with all the other things. Like, where are we going to be? the communities are basically destroyed. So it's not like, hey, just a house goes down. It's, hey, a school goes down. Where are you going to live? What are the options? And your entire community, you rely on a neighbor here, rely on a neighbor here. All that stuff is basically out. And that's all I've heard. And that's the Rams are a part of it, man. Some guys are dealing, some of those guys, football players, so some of them have like townhouses or apartments. And so it's like, just grab your stuff and go. Others have like, like the Staffords of the world have families that they place their whole family and community there. And they've got to kind of just say, all right, get what is necessary and let's move on. Yeah, it's messed up, man. It really is. A friend of mine that I do work, he's a film producer out there. And he's like a block away from him. They got evacuated. And he said it looked like a fireball, some of those, like a nuclear kind of fireball that was like a block away. And he's watching people run out of that kind of the fireball. Like, it's sick. He's crazy. Like, it feels like hell. Yeah, yeah. And what a nutso story? Sean Farnham, who does college hoops with us, UCLA former player. He obviously lives in LA. He said in his neighborhood, they caught somebody trying to start a fire. I know, dude. I said, are you kidding me? It's unbelievable. I saw it. I've seen it. And like a dozen. There's like a dozen of these people. Now, there's some horrible things about what people are trying to do. It's awful. Like I just, looting. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. There's fires so they can rob houses. It's disgusting. It's the worst of human behavior. All right, let's get back to something good. So Monday night, Irish, they have any shot whatsoever. I would say yes, just because of Marcus Freeman and the coaching staff and what Al Golden has done defensively. I will also say yes because that team responds when they deal with any type of adversity. How they handled Penn State in the second half was, I thought, tremendous. And how about the backup quarterback, man? He gave them a spark the minute he had to come in, right? He had 6 to 7 on that drive to get 3 points on the board and the football in the second half. Like, that was the spark that they needed. I would say yes because of that. But I don't know if Riley Leonard and this offense can generate enough points to keep up with Ohio State, right? It feels like Notre Dame needs special teams. They need potentially a pick six. They need Ohio State to make multiple mistakes to keep this a close game because that's how good Ohio State is with all the options. And Chip's worst game was against Michigan as a play caller. The last 3 games, he's been fantastic, like fantastic. And Texas helped them out last week a little bit because, the TreVeyon Henderson play was like, are you kidding me? Where is everybody? And how Texas was loaded up. But I think Ohio State's a team of destiny. I just don't know. You mentioned the spread 9.5. I just don't know where Notre Dame's going to have enough firepower offensively to compete unless they get a pick six or a kickoff return. That to me is the way they're going to stay in this game offensively to score points. It's funny you said that because I was thinking the same thing about Michigan in that game. And it was Chip, for some odd reason, was trying to out-bully Ryan Day. They were trying to out-bully Michigan, which was stupid. And it kept them in the game. You're going to win. And honestly, Texas was right there. Like, you saw it. If not for that pick six, the fumble and the pick six, whatever it was, on the way back, I mean, that's a game. That's a game. Dude, I didn't understand, and it was driving me nuts. I'm watching that game, and you're in the shadows of the goal line, and I'm going, where's Arch? I know. Yep. I knew you were going to say that. Why in the world would you stay with Ewers who can't? You got Arch. He gets into the end zone. I swear to you, you got down there that close, and that's your play call? You run a pitch wide? What are you, stupid? I can't believe it. And it's going to haunt Sark. And Sark's a phenomenal offensive mind. It's going to haunt him. It's going to haunt him on that second down. Why are you so adverse on bringing Arch in? I just don't get it. I agree. And Caleb Downs deserves a ton of credit. He's the one that blew up that play, the star defensive back who's who's going to be incredible on Sundays eventually. I don't get it either. Like, especially, listen, we grew up watching and understanding football a certain way. And now sometimes you get a little too creative. We live in it right now in Philadelphia with the tush push. Hey, gain the yard, move forward. Don't get cute, right? You're first and goal at the 1 after those 2 pass interference plays. Move forward, not backwards. And when you have a guy like Arch who can extend the ball, I don't understand it, man. I don't. And again, I think Sark will have a ton of regret, and we'll have some sleepless nights.
They score, they win that game. I believe that.
I agree. I totally agree. Like, Ewers looked overwhelmed multiple times. He looked overwhelmed in certain situations. And again, they made 2 mistakes. Texas made literally 2 mistakes. The Trevion Henderson play, I still don't understand it on that screen. And then that play with Sawyer. They just made 2 mistakes.
And my fear, too, like with Notre Dame, is I just don't think they got the horses in the secondary to cover those. If they're smart, he opens it up and he tries to make it a track meet. I just don't know how the Irish defend them.
I agree. And the minute you think you got those 2 guys covered or 3 guys covered, because 17 is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Tate, the minute you think that you got that covered, shoot, here comes Quinshawn, here comes Trevion, and good luck. And the screenplay, right? And then you got to try to tackle them on an open field with guards pulling. It's not good.
No, I'm with you.
Hey, as like the casual fan, how is Marcus Freeman's name not like swirling around in a bunch of coaching rumors for the NFL? I watch college football briefly. Like, man, this guy's got it together. Coach. How is he not at the NFL level at this point? Does that transition happen soon?
It's a great point. And hey, listen, there's an opening in Chicago,
right?
And you know how Notre Dame is so close to Chicago fans and in that whole area. I agree. He's a fantastic guy, fantastic motivator. He understands like why they're there and what the purpose is. He connects with players. He's made Notre Dame likable, nationwide, right?
Kind of.
Like he's found a way for you to root for Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame's the underdog against Ohio State, and I think all the feelings that America feels for Ohio State used to feel that way about Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
totally right.
I don't know. And
totally
maybe it is. Maybe teams are waiting. Maybe some of these jobs have been waiting it just quietly. And Marcus is like, hey, let me handle this before we go public with anything on a conversation. I don't know, but you're right, VG. He should be in every head coach opening conversation.
Hey, why we got you here?
But real quick, before for that subject, what's wrong with coaching Notre Dame?
Ugh.
What, honestly,
everything.
I love the NFL, right? But I if I had my druthers, I'd rather coach college. I'd rather be a coach of a big-time college program.
With the portal and everything?
The portal plays a role, but at Notre Dame specifically, it's a little bit different. The pressure's a little bit different, but the money, James Franklin talked about it. They get all the money. They don't give it to the conference. There's no split revenue. It's like, hey, we make the playoff, give us. We win, give us. They're going to make $20 million off this run just alone, and they're not giving it to a conference. They don't pay the Big Ten or the Big 12 or the SEC or the ACC. It comes right to us. So you have that, benefit. The one thing that I really like about the portal specifically for Marcus Freeman is when he has brought in guys, he's brought in grad students. He's brought in guys that are mature, that understand. And in the end, those guys also get this one thing. And hey, when they graduate or when they leave, Notre Dame's on their resume. That's a huge deal for some of these kids, man.
Sure is.
And he's got a great recruiting class coming in, man.
Yes. Go ahead.
I was going to say, why we got you. You might want to give your broadcast partner a little help with his on-air appearances. Apparently, he's very envious of you, mentioning Booger, saying how you have all this hair and makeup stuff going on. And he seems a little jealous that you're looking so good. You might want to give him some tips.
Hey, listen. That bald guy says all this talk. He talks all, and I was like, you're just jealous. You don't have any hair. You're also jealous that I don't have a lot of makeup. So he leans into me getting makeup, like all the things. By the way, he's Uncle Boog in our house. I love him like a brother. That is one of my closest friends. So like when you tagged me on that, I was like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, he's jealous.
And that's what we do. That's how I was explaining to my 12-year-old this too the other day, and you guys can appreciate this. I was explaining to my 12-year-old. I say, listen, when guys like each other and they're all cool with guys, they take shots at them.
Yeah,
that's the way to do things. That's how they communicate to each other, right? Because
we ripped Frazier's hat.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Get his
deep down, you're like, that's my boy. I can say it. No one else can. That's my brother. And I said that to him. I said, you know how you are with your brother? I said, you guys kill each other. But the minute you step out this house, somebody says something, you step up, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, that's how Boog and I are. I said, that's how you're going to be with some lifelong friends. You just bring them down, take them out, but no one else can say anything about them. And that's how me and Boog are.
Amen.
You know?
Show him your hat.
Yeah. You're a fashionable guy, Kevin.
Look, Kev, what do you think of this hat?
Let me see.
It's an Eagles hat. The Eagles beanie.
Kind of.
This is what it looks like.
Eagles beanie.
I like it. It's cool. It's got the eagle green.
It's a brown.
Thanks, Kevin.
It's
Brown, Kevin.
They don't like the
No. Hey, so is that a Carhartt hat too? Because
it is. It is a Carhartt hat.
Yeah. He's the common man, and he's the common man with the brown. He goes to work every day.
Hat. It's brown. It's not an eagle hat.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.
I hate it. Not good. He's out.
Hey, listen. Hey, you get Boog back on the air, just let me know. All you guys got to tell him that his ankles are fat. Just tell him that, all right? See how that goes. That'll go over well.
He was all eagled up with us, and then we find out he was picking the Packers as a potential upset.
Oh, that punk ass did that?
Yes.
I'm going to get on his ass.
Yeah,
you know what? That's going to be great.
To somebody, especially, we were like, Boog loves the Eagles. And then all of a sudden, somebody went, he was just on talking about the Packers having upset. They're the team that has the best chance of an upset.
Yeah, so next time you have him on, just say, hey, Boog, what other show are you going to be on today? So while you kiss our ass, and then you're going to change your pick later on. That's classic Boog. That is classic Boog. I'll say all this stuff because I know my audience, then boom. I don't know what I just said. I'll say something else in the next audience because then you know what, Ed? He's never wrong. That's how
But he's fugazi. We love you, brother.
Appreciate you, fellas. Be good.
We'll be watching. There he is, the best. Kevin Negandhi.
Kevin likes the hat.
The hat. Apparently, we're old. The chat loves the hat. We're like the old two guys at the Muppets upstairs complain about this hat. I kind of like it.
I wouldn't wear that. I hate that. I hate that. It's not an eagle hat.
I hate that.
If it didn't have an eagle logo, a hat's fine.
Yes.
But it's got an eagle logo on it.
I concur.
That's not an eagle color.
Strip it of the logo.
Like I don't believe in it. I don't care. It makes me old. So be it. You don't throw an eagle logo on every color. Here's an orchid color with an eagle hat. Like, stop. Like, no, it's not brown. We're not brown. It's not a color.
Right.
So I don't care.
100%.
All right. We got ERock coming up. I want to get to ERock.
Nice.
I got my man Figgy out in LA. We want to get to. But, dude, hit us with some Glatt.
Love the work they're doing over at Glatt Hair Restoration by Morgan Stern Medical. So if your hairline's receding, if you're thinning out a little bit, if you're always wearing a hat, worried about how that light shines on your head and you just got a little glow on the dome, give our folks over at Glatt Hair Restoration by Morgan Stern Medical a call. Established by the late, great Dr. Paul Glatt, now under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon Ken Morgenstern. Doctors Glatt and Morgenstern shared a remarkable bond that spanned many years as colleagues and friends. They collaborate on research studies and work together in the operating room. And what makes the work by Glatt Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical better? Well, it's the same peerless approach to care and the same expert team that you've come to know from Glatt. Same Glatt system. Each member of this team is specifically trained with over 30 years of industry experience, and hair restoration is all they do. They can help you during all stages of hair loss, except when you're completely gone like me. They have leading edge treatments for prevention and restoration, including laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint your best course of treatment, and a caring patient advocate works with you from the first phone call to your last follow-up appointment. Glad Hair isn't just about restoration. Nope, it's about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments really do dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and regain that confidence and how you feel about yourself, Glad Hair is for you. Visit gladhairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
All right, let's talk about the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app, the Holy Quintet this weekend. Saturday, Sunday, Monday night, right? Divisional round the NFL and the NCAA championship game. So here you go. Detroit, Saturday night, big favorite against Jaden and the Washington. Kansas City, big favorite against Houston and the Texans. And, of course, Birds, 6-point favorite. That line, I'm going to ask the brain tonight if that line's going to move. I think it should. I'm shocked that it's still 6. And then, of course, the Bills-Ravens game, which is going to be amazing. And then the college football championship, Notre Dame, Ohio State. It's all there on the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app. Listen, you can have some fun, all right? Bet sports, play all your favorite casino games, get some skin in the game, all right? Or play blackjack, craps, poker, roulette, hot online slots while you watch the game. Make downtime your fun time. Download the app right now. Enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. New users, download the app and get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details. It's got to be 21, PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Michigan, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, this portion of the program brought to you by Rite Aid, RiteAid.com for your nearest store and pharmacy.
Love Rite Aid.
Today's International Signing Day in MLB.
Oh, all right. Keep an eye out. Keep X open. See if anything happens.
All right. You know who I love? So we do the cheap seat show.
I love that show.
All right. It's a great show.
They got great chemistry. They're fun.
The three of those guys are awesome. You know, Black Grady calls the show all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved ERock forever. All right.
He brings it all the time.
He is the best. He's so much fun. He's a blast. He's one of those dudes you just want to hang with.
Yep.
Let's get him up here. ERock!
Yeah.
You know what's happening, cuz? Happy divisional round playoff week. Let's bring on the Rams at Lincoln Financial Field. Let's get this dub. And then, hey, listen, for a hot second there, I'm going to be the biggest Commanders fan in the world. I might learn the fights. I'm not going to put on any gear, but I might learn the fight song. Because we need Washington to handle business against Detroit so we get another home game back at the link, baby.
So look at ERock. First of all, I love it. I love that sweatshirt. Now, that font.
That's the best font.
It's the greatest font. And I love it on the modern black, right?
Yeah.
It pops. That, to me, is right. Now, you know I'm about the colors, right? The Kelly green, the whole thing. That black, it pops. It works. ERock wears it.
I like the black on black hat, too. I'm a fan of that as well.
And the font, like the black, like he looks good.
Yeah.
Like that's a good looking hat.
Yeah. He's got it together today.
All right.
And listen, I love the compliments, and shout out to the Mitchell Ennis flagship store right there in Philadelphia that always hooks us up with the Flyers gear and everything. And please, I encourage everybody to go there and visit before the game. But I got to be honest, I'm a little surprised you don't like the tan, because that is Carhartt tan. That is a blue collar working class lunch pail type color of the guys that are bringing it to work, blue collar every day.
I like it not with an Eagle logo slapped on it.
I hear you.
And we got non-working, man.
But as the resident hat man of PHL, I literally had these right in front of me.
Fabulous.
Yeah, look at you get the white on the green. Look at the white on the white. Huh?
The white's good. That's a Big Dom special, the white.
Oh, yeah.
He wears the white.
Yes, it is.
Big Dom.
With his white Nikes, probably.
But
South Philly
boy,
whites.
Yeah. That's how we roll.
Yes.
It looks great. Hey, all right. So give me your how you feel about Sunday. Take us into your world. All right, Sunday morning too.
Yeah, so the lots should open up right around 8:30-ish, but anticipate people start to line up. I know the guys that get there early in the morning, and by early in the morning, I mean 1 a.m. To start, they got the smoker already attached to the truck. They're already cooking up the pig. They're already getting the meals all set. So when the lots open, bing, they can start serving breakfast, okay? The lots are going to be absolutely on fire. The playoff atmosphere, I get DMs all day, all week saying, this is my first playoff game, or this is my first time in Philadelphia. What should I expect? When it comes to the playoffs, take a regular season game, dial it up to 11. The atmosphere was absolutely electric. And you know what? It's a shame. It's a shame that one fan in the stands this past Sunday ruined what was an electric atmosphere, and really what was an uneventful and friendly atmosphere with the Packers fans. I expect that same thing on Sunday. The Eagles fans are going to be jazzed up, and we'll know what we're doing. We'll know whether we're hosting another one if we win, which then cranks it up to another notch, or if we got to go to Detroit. But I'm looking forward to it, baby.
Hey, E, if I'm wandering down there, how do I find you? Do you like pin the location of your tailgate, like on your Twitter account? How do I find you?
Yeah, so I don't host anymore. I tailgate hop. So it's never.
So you bounce around?
I got an electric scooter, right? I got an electric scooter to bounce around the lots, because that's a lot on the. Listen, I'm not 20 years old anymore. The knees ain't what they used to be, and I'm getting my steps in. So you can, if you see just this nice blur go by screaming "Go Birds," that's me bouncing around from tailgate to tailgate.
Nice. What if you're going to look at Sunday, all right, and see how it plays out in your mind? What do you see? Because we all play the game out in our mind's eye.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing, ERock?
So when I was watching Rams Vikings, right, two things really stood out to me about the Rams. Number one is their ability to blitz and rush the passer in different forms, right? They had corner blitzes. They had tight DT stud. You know what I'm talking about. The studs, the pressure up the middle, masking pressure, bringing pressure from where they don't expect it. That worked well against a Sam Darnold-led Minnesota Vikings team that turned into a pumpkin. And to quote Coach Green, they are who we thought they were, right? They just showed it in the last two games of the season. And Sam Darnold is a statue. And not a good statue either, like the Dwayne Wade statue, like an ugly statue. He's not good. He's not good at all.
Right.
Yeah. He's not a Michelangelo, certainly. So to do that, it evokes memories of like the Tampa Bay game where like he had trouble dealing with pressure, but also the Rams might have showed their hand when dealing with the Vikings. They might have showed their best blitz packages. And if you don't think that offensive line, Kellen Moore or Jalen Hurts, who's a mobile quarterback and who's going to hurt you if you so choose to play that way, it's going to be different playing Jalen Hurts than it is Sam Darnold. I felt the game plan last week was kind of conservative and just getting Jalen back into the swing of things. Jalen didn't play his best. I didn't think it was the best game plan, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I feel like this team always not overcorrects, but it corrects in the right way. So when they're running the ball and all of a sudden Jalen can't pass, what does he do? He sits down at the post-game press conference and goes, so is that what y'all wanted to see?
Right.
I think this is the game where they open it up. They really start. And they know they got to score points against this team. They know they got to score points against this team.
Dude, I love it. Tell us about tonight, buddy. Tell us about the cheap seats.
We are getting the gang back together. It is a fun time. Listen, if you want to experience a show or a podcast where it's almost like you and your buddies are at the tailgate, just chopping it up around about the birds, that's what we do. All right. If you want to go get in depth about the X's and O's of the game and break down some film, trust me, watch Fran. He's a genius at it. Not only is he a genius at it, but he knows all these players. So that's the guy you want to watch. If you want to break balls, have a good time, have a couple laughs, maybe crack a beer in your living room, watch it on Roku or whatever, come watch the cheap seats tonight at 7:30 right here on PHLY.
Love it.
Dude, it's a lot of fun.
It is a blast.
I love chilling out with those guys.
ERock's my boy. Yeah. I've known ERock for over 20 years.
Yes, sir.
Of Black Gritty.
Yeah, they get along well. Yeah.
Like the guys are fantastic. Fantastic.
The best part is I get along well. Part of my job in the one seat is making sure Black Gritty and Jason don't kill each other. On air. That's managing those two when they get after it. Oh my God, it's funny.
Jason and Black Gritty go at it.
Yeah, I know. It's part of the fun.
Like that's a good.
I know.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You ever see that meme of that referee in the middle of the fighters going like this?
Yeah.
That's me. That's me on the show.
Well, I love you, buddy. I do. You are
appreciate you, man.
Been friends a long time, and I love
yes, sir.
You have a great spirit about you, buddy.
And
not just with the Eagles, but in just everyday life.
And we've always connected, and I appreciate all the support on and off the air. Thank you. You're a true friend and a great man.
Thanks, brother. You're the man. Go Birds!
You got it. Go Birds! Let's go.
There he is. ERock tonight. Do we have my man?
Figgy is setting up his laptop right now.
All right. So I've been doing a show for Fox Sports radio show for a long time. I can't even tell you how long. And my man, Figgy, was our news anchor for a while. Then he became part of the show. He is one of the best. I love him. He also does a show for the local sports station in LA. All right. So he's there. He's on top of everything. He's a great sportsman. All right. You're going to love him. We got him.
Can't wait.
He's my man, Figgy. Kevin Figures. Fig! What is it, baby?
Cuz, what's going on, brother? Been too long. What's going on?
So how many Saturday mornings have we spent together?
Countless. And it's only been a few these last couple of months that we've not been together, and I've missed each and every one of them, to be honest with you. It's one of the highlights of my week was spending the time with you on the weekends, just chopping up about sports. And, don't need to prepare or anything. We just hop on mic and we just shoot it, just go at it from the hip. And I loved every second of it. It's one of the highlights of my week. It really was.
So I'm curious. It's early morning for you, but is it late night for you?
Yes.
Are you staying up late night?
It's late night. So I would get there around 10 o'clock at night, Pacific time. And my shift would end around 6 a.m. So I would end the night, the last 4 hours of my shift, just hanging out with Anthony. But you know what? It gives a jolt of energy. You guys understand this. You could be running on fumes here and there, but once you crack the mic, once you start talking about things you're passionate about, it's just a jolt of energy to the body. So honestly, doing that show with Anthony over the years has given me a bigger jolt than any sort of caffeine or energy drink could ever give me.
So he's saying your 4 espresso coffee energy is infectious.
Well, we ate it all. I mean, Figgy and Big Link, right? Because Lincoln Kennedy and I did it forever, dear friend of mine. And now Jason Fitz, who's terrific, formerly ESPN. And Fig and I, we would always just chop it up. And he's a great sportsman. And he was my baseball, right? Because nobody likes baseball, nationally. I had Fig, he's a baseball man. So we connected college football, all the stuff that I could geek out. We would geek out every Saturday. What's it like out there, brother? Really? Tell us, about what's happening. I know you got colleagues affected, and what's the overall kind of feeling out there?
It's really difficult. It's been really difficult out here this last week. I've had 4 or 5 people that I've known, one that's been displaced and 4 who have lost everything, literally everything. One of my coworkers lived in his home in Pacific Palisades for the last 40 years. His kids grew up in that house, all of his memories in that house. And so, a lot of people like to say, and I know to a certain degree, yes, it is just stuff. It's physical things, but it's memories. It's more than just that. So it's really, really difficult out here. The fires have been contained a little bit, but only a little bit. One of the fires, about 30%, the other about 17%. But the winds are kicking up again. The winds kicked up again last night. They're hoping that they can find a better way to contain it. More so now than they were able to last week. But we're certainly not out of the woods. But the worst part of it, hopefully, we're praying is in the past and they can get a better handle on it. The amount of support that we've gotten from around the country has been spectacular. We've had fire trucks coming from Texas and Oregon and Washington and all over the place, people willing to come in and help out. So the outpouring of support for the city and the community has been something special. But like I said, it's been a really difficult time for a lot of us out here, and we're hoping that the worst is behind us.
Which is scary, and what the real monster is the wind, because it's the wind that spreads.
Like 90-mile-per-hour winds, and then they can't get the helicopters up there to put water on anything.
Planes
crazy.
that are used to put out the fires can't get in the air. I mean, that's the scariest thing, Figgy.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Not being able to get, planes and helicopters in the air. The strong winds obviously are going to fan the flames even more. So, I mean, it was just Murphy's Law for the first couple of days of this fire, because the worst possible fire could flare up, and then all of a sudden the worst winds that we've had in years, all of a sudden. So it was just a perfect storm of the worst possible situations flaring up at the exact same time. So like I said, the winds are kicked up again late last night, are going a little bit now, but we seem to have a little bit of a better handle on it now than we did back then. So obviously all the thoughts and prayers are greatly appreciated, and keep them coming our way, because we definitely need it.
Yeah. Not to trivialize, but to football. And how does this whole situation affect the Rams? What are you hearing? What's their situation? What's the Rams' perspective heading into this game on Sunday?
Yeah, they offered a great distraction on Monday night, especially to play the way that they played in the midst of everything that was happening. SoFi Stadium is nowhere near where any of the fires are happening, but you're talking about, a lot of people in the city, season seat holders, fans of the team live in that area. A lot of players, thankfully don't live as close to the fires as they used to. The training facility is not extremely far away from the epicenter of where the fire was in Pacific Palisades. And Sean McVay said, thankfully, a lot of team officials, players, coaches, were not affected all that much. But mentally, it's a mental strain on you. You have family members, you have friends who you're thinking about who have been affected. And then from the football standpoint of it being relocated to, yes, a stadium you're familiar with. You go to Arizona every year and play, but it's not SoFi. It's not your home. You're staying in a hotel. The preparation is different. All of this happened. I think the NFL announced on Friday that they were moving. So you had a couple of days to prepare. And shout out to the Cardinals organization. They were great and rolled out the red carpet and sent planes and anything that the Rams organization needed, and made them feel like kings and made them feel welcome out there in Glendale. But so for it to get over all of that, Anthony, and then still have to play a football game, a playoff game at that, on Monday night, and to perform the way that they performed, it was truly something special.
Yeah, it really was. And with football can be galvanizing. We saw it with the Saints and with Katrina, right? We saw it 9/11. How do you now see then? How do you see this game and just the overall matchup?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I heard you guys talking to the big brain earlier in the show, and I like to come on here and be an LA homer, but I can't be. I have to be objective. But while I don't think that the Eagles are going to come in and run over the Rams, I do think there's a distinct advantage that the Eagles have. Look, the Rams have evolved from early in the season. Started out 1-4. Their defense was very young, hadn't come into its own yet. They had injuries all over the offense. The O-line, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua were both out until week 7, week 8 of the season. But all that being said, as well as they're playing now, the Eagles are a different beast. I mean, I think there's an argument to be made, even with the Detroit Lions being the 1 seed, that the Eagles could be the best team in the NFC, just based on how they were playing towards the end of the regular season. Play well against Green Bay, 3 interceptions, look totally dominant defensively. They've turned a corner since the first quarter of the season. I just think it's a really tough matchup for the Rams. The Eagles are so physical up front on the defensive line. If the Rams do have a weakness on offense, even though their offensive line is better, it's still not great. And you're talking about facing up against an Eagles defensive front that has been amazing. An Eagles defensive backfield that's been excellent of late. I think it's going to be really tough sledding. Look, even as well as the Rams played on Monday night, offensively, they were good, but they were nothing spectacular. It was the defense that carried them, forcing turnovers, putting their offense in good field position. So while I don't think the Eagles are going to, run them off of the field, I can definitely see the Eagles covering the spread in this one and winning the game, something, 27-17, something like that.
What the Rams offense kind of befuddles me because they have weapons galore. Like Kyron Williams is terrific. You got Nacua, you got Kupp. I know Kupp's not what he used to be, but he's still Cooper Kupp. Demarcus Robinson, Higbee, I guess, will be fine to play. I don't know. I mean, I look at their offense, but yet they kind of underwhelm you at times. They were great against Buffalo, but then they'll have these spells where they just don't perform.
And it doesn't all fall on the quarterback, but unfortunately, it kind of falls on his shoulders. He has the giant spotlight, and this is kind of a microcosm of Matthew Stafford's career, because he can have games where he can absolutely light you up and look like a top 3 quarterback, and then he can have games where you scratch your head and say, "What the hell are you doing?" So that I think the inconsistency from them outside of the offensive line, which is inconsistent as time as well, I think it really stems from Matthew Stafford and what kind of game is he going to have and how dialed in is he. Because he's the engine that makes everything go. As great as Kyren Williams is, and he's been an excellent find for them, he's been really good, rushed for over 1,200 yards this season. I mean, even in that Minnesota game, yes, they ran the ball a little bit, but they basically put it on the shoulders of Matthew Stafford in that passing game, and they were able to make plays, especially early. I really think the big key for the Rams, when they win games, they get out to hot starts. When they don't, they're down. They were up 10-0 going into the second quarter on Monday night. If they're down 10-0, 14-0 against Philadelphia, for them to come back is really, really difficult. Their offense, yes, they have weapons. They're not built to be a drop back pass game to throw the ball 50, 60 times a game and get you back in it. They have to keep the game close. And I don't know if that's something that they're going to be able to do against Philadelphia. Look, it'll be close enough, but I think it's going to be an upward climb for them from jump in Philadelphia on this weekend.
So Fig is a Raiders fan, right? Grew up big time, LA, right? When the Raiders were in LA. Yeah. Huge Raider fan. Yo, Fig, who's got a shot at the job? Spags has a shot at that job.
Yeah. We've been talking about Spags for years. I've been asking you the question, Ant, because you've known him for a long time. Why can't Steve Spagnuolo get another bite at the apple when it comes to being a head coach? He was placed in one of the worst situations anybody could have possibly been in with that St. Louis Ram team at the time. And so I'm glad that he's getting another crack at it. I really am. People always talk about retreads left or right. Bill Belichick was a retread. Pete Carroll was a retread. These are two of the best. Belichick, the greatest coach in the history of the sport, and Pete Carroll's probably going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done based on what he's done. So I'm all for Spags. I'm actually rooting for him to be able to get the job. It sounds like Mark Davis is willing to, whoever the head coach is going to be, allow that head coach to have a say in who the general manager is. And Cuz, the run of success that organizations have nowadays.
It's all a Brady production. Like everything that's happening is all about Tom. Like Tom likes Spags. Spags gets the job is because of Brady's blessing, and Brady will choose the GM too.
How do you feel about that? Are you comfortable with Brady running everything?
He's his ultimate nemesis from the Tuck Rule game. Now he's your hero.
Yeah, it's hard. But you know what? They need an adult in the room. That's the issue. Like, Tom Brady has no chops when it comes to running an organization, but he was part of this most successful organization in pro sports, in American pro sports at least, for over 2 decades. So at the very least, I think it's smart that Mark Davis kind of leans on him and gets his opinion on what works, what doesn't. What was that system like that you were in? Is it hard? Absolutely. It's absolutely difficult. But honestly, as a Raider fan, I just want to win. I want to go back to the old Al Davis mantra of just win, baby. However it comes, doesn't matter to me, guys. I really don't care. So if Tom Brady has to be the guy,
can't do. I believe in Brady no matter what. So I think he'll make that team a success.
Yeah, I agree. So if it takes Tom Brady having to be the guy to help turn it around, darn it, let's do it. I'm all for it.
Fig, we'll be seeing you Phillies Dodgers. All right, we'll be ready to go. We'll be back.
Well, we wanted that for years, Ant. We've wanted that for years. It's eluded us the last couple of postseasons, but I see it. I see it in the horizon. I really do. That will be a lot of fun.
Listen, God bless that baby. He's beautiful. He just had a baby boy.
Oh, congratulations.
Who is beautiful, man. Fig, it's so great connecting, man. We love you, buddy.
Love you too, Ant. It's great catching up with you, brother.
Be safe. Be safe out there. Here he is, Kevin Figures, a dear buddy of mine I've worked with a long time out in L.A. Talking about the Rams. Look, I again, to put a bow on the show, every how you match it up and X and O it and intangibles and everything else comes up birds.
Comes up birds. I agree.
It does. So we have a Rite Aid back in the day moment.
Yep.
We're going back. We're going back. We're going back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah!
So we're going to go back 75 years.
What?
75 years to a formula that worked against the Rams Steve Van Buren rushed for 196 yards versus the Rams in the 1949 NFL Championship. Let's use that same formula and have Saquon run for 196 yards against
Steve
the Rams.
Van Buren.
Yeah.
Van Buren of the Fighting Van Burens.
Yes, Van Buren led the league in rushing that year. He had 1,146 yards and 12 touchdowns. So the formula still works. 75 years later, rush the ball.
Van Buren. Somebody was like, anytime you go over the Eagles, all-time Eagles teams, you never put Van Buren in there. It's part of the Van Buren gag.
Yeah, can you try to photo up one more time? Because the guy who's trying to tackle Van Buren, I don't know if it's an Eagle guy, but he looks like he's ready to punch somebody in the back. He's got his fist on. And it was a rainy game, so let's get a little rain and some rushing. I guess
AccuViddy says it's going to be a rain-snow mix on Sunday.
Nice.
So that should be good, man.
Yeah.
We should be ready to go. All right.
By the way, that hat is sold out. He's sharing the link. People want it. It's sold out. It is not a Carhartt hat, though. There's no who mentioned a Carhartt. It's just a collar of a Carhartt hat.
Yeah, I made the mistake. I thought it was a Carhartt.
Yeah,
but
he's
still,
trying to get dock worker
nevertheless, a great hat.
The dock worker, the Carhartt hat is cool.
Yes.
But not with an Eagle logo on it. That's all.
Sold out.
Yeah. No, you're right. Listen, you've been vindicated, Phrase.
They were returned as IRs.
All right, everybody. Have a great day, everybody. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow for Football Thursday. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.